So, Raymond, here we are, Cool Stuff Games Jacksonville.
Hi chat.
We showed up today because with the release of the new set,
Yes.
you've innovated and engineered a new deck. What have you been playing and how's it been for you?
I've been playing Tearlaments with some tech packages that are, I think, spicy. And they work really well with Mali being a 3 and the rank 4 engine.
We've actually seen a feature match with a few requests for this deck profile.
Oh, I know, I saw, and I had to do it for chat.
So we definitely want to go ahead and get into this. We're actually mid-tournament, so we're going to go ahead and
Yes.
just get into seeing what you're playing. So let's get into this list.
Okay. All right, so we have the girls, obviously, one each. Two of the boys. I only played 2 because I already played 43 cards. 3 tier cash, very good. Love this card. But it's level 7, so it kind of conflicts with the engine, but you can't play without tier cash. 1 Fenrir for the search, and if you draw it, you can summon it, obviously. So that's the tier package. We have our shufflers. Sadly, we don't have Agido or Kelbeck, so we have to do Keldo and Medora. And obviously, they always have great function against any deck that revolves around the graveyard. Easy side out for decks like Flu and things that don't rely on the graveyard. And I was just saying earlier, 3 Malis.
How's this card been at 3 for you?
Really good, especially milling 1 and then knowing that you have 2 more summons. And with the tech package that you're gonna see in just a moment, we can even summon them like 7 times. I think you already know what I'm talking about, chat. All right, so now let's move on to the Lightsworn package. We have this new card, Vice Lightsworn Archfiend. It's a fiend and also a tuner.
For people who don't know what these cards do, what do they do and what synergy do they have?
So if you draw this plus any Lightsworn name, including itself, or even Lightsworn Aegis, the trap card, you put that card on the top of the deck to summon this and mill 2. So if you draw this and Wolf, you're guaranteed to summon this and Wolf. If you draw this and Lightsworn Aegis, the trap card, you're guaranteed to set it. And if you are desperate for a summon, you can, if you draw this, you get a search. I already mentioned Beast, and it just puts a Lightsworn name in the graveyard for our next card, which is Lightsworn Dragonling, affectionately known as Baby Judgment Dragon. Baby Judgment Dragon needs any Lightsworn monster name in the graveyard to special itself, and when it's specialed, it foolishes a Lightsworn name, including monsters or Aegis. If you already have access to Aegis, then you can simply foolish Felice, which summons itself and is a tuner. We usually don't use its first effect turn 0, but sometimes when you're breaking a board, Felice is good because you destroy a monster or force a negate, and you still mill 3 if they don't negate it. A lot of you might disagree, but I only play 2 Wolf. I see a lot of lists that play 3, but as I said, I'm already at 43 cards, and drawing Wolf, unless you have Chiron. And I don't see a lot of people playing Raiden, but I really like it, because if you already used all of your effects, and you haven't used Weiss yet, which has a secondary effect, if it is milled from the deck to the grave, it summons any Lightsworn. And I choose Raiden most of the time because you also get a mill 2 from Raiden, and it's also a tuner. So we have 3 tuners here. Vice is a tuner, Felice, and also Raiden. So Raiden has good utility, especially when it is reborn from Weiss. And that is the main deck monsters for Lightsworns. And we play one of Judgment Dragon and Punishment Dragon.
I see some people only playing Punishment, but you like main deck and Judgment Dragon?
I like Judgment Dragon because if you already draw this, then you can search it with the Baby Dragon. And it's also a fun surprise if your
opponents don't expect it.
Yeah, and if you are, what's the word I'm looking for? When it's like turn 5 and you're just drawing. When you're grinding and you draw it, your graveyard is already filled with Lightsworns, so you just summon it, and it forces a negate. If they don't negate it, then you just destroy the board. I really like it. It's an easy side out actually, but I like it.
Insane.
All right, so this is the package. I didn't invent this, obviously, but I was like, we could actually play this because of the new extra deck monster card that searches a pyro monster. And all they need to do is target a banished monster to summon themselves. So if you have a banished malicious, you can just shuffle that malicious back in, summon this, banish another malicious, search that, summon that, and this can search either of these. So turn zero, this is usually your choice. Do I go for Colossus or do I go for like a lock?
Yeah.
If you don't know, I usually choose Colossus. So I search this and then tribute it for Colossus. But obviously, if you know what you're playing, you can play Protoss. Or even as Katos, if you are playing against Tempai, then you can just call Dragon. For this one, you'll have to call Fire, but you have to either have the rank 4 or this on the board. With Katos, which is a Dragon, you can just call Dragon, and it won't destroy itself, but we will still be locked from Dragons. So that's the package, and we cannot forget about Shadal Beast.
The upstart.
You know, Winda is still a thing. You can pump out Winda really easily, especially if you have access to Beatrice. Maybe turn 0, you dump Beast for a draw, and then during their turn, you dump a tier name for an easy Winda, which needs to be outed as well. So that's all the monsters. Let's go with the spells. We have Standard Terraforming and Foolish Burial. Hate seeing these being milled, but you know, that's the name of the game. Sometimes your mills are godly, sometimes they're not. And I have 1 Solar Recharge and 2 Charge of the Light Brigade.
How's this ratio for you?
I like this ratio. One only because you have to have a Lightsworn name in your hand to do this, and this is always live. Obviously, you don't get the mill effects if you mill Beast or Soliak or a tier name, but you still get a guaranteed name, and you usually search Weiss, the new one, or the baby dragon. And if this is your first action at turn 0 and you mill a Lightsworn name, then you can decide to get the baby dragon because it's a guaranteed special, because baby dragon needs a Lightsworn name in the graveyard to special itself. If you don't, then I usually go for Weiss if I already have a name, or Raiden if I'm desperate and then I just need to mill 2. But this ratio has been great. Our standard 3 Perlereno. And in my previous builds, I had 3 Screams and 3 Suliaks. But with this build, we had to cut it down to 2 and 2, unless you want to play like a 45, 46 card deck. And the last trap card is Lightsworn Aegis, which is really good because if it is milled from the deck, you simply set it. And it's also great for chain blocking. Yeah, just make it the last chain link and then they can't bell it or anything because it just sets itself. And this one targets any face-up cards that they control. And if you have Minerva Xyz and Minerva Synchro, you can target 2 of them. Or if you have more names than that, usually you just end up with 2. You can target more than that. So this is really good against Evenly Matched, Dark Ruler No More, even Droplets. If they don't discard or send to the graveyard a trap card, then you just chain this to negate their Droplets. So this is really good.
Insane.
Yeah, it's really good. That's the main deck. That is 43 cards.
And what do you play for your extra deck?
My extra deck is... Let's start with the 3 Xyz. They're all girls. How cute is that? This, as I said earlier, searches the Nemesis flag. Minerva for the draw power. And also Beatrice because we have easier access to Malicious now. And also Garura. Garura and Dangerous are both level 6. Easy to get Beatrice. Those are the only Xyz I have. It's a little bit revolving right now because there's not much space. If we had 20 extra deck cards, then it'll be an easier decision. But for right now, just those 3. Here are the 2 Synchros.
And for people who don't know what the new Minerva does.
The new Minerva is generic Synchro, but you really want to make her with 2 Lightsworn names because you get to dump that many Lightsworn names from the deck. So if you make it with just a Lightsworn and any random level 4, you only get to dump 1. If you make it with non-Lightsworn, then you basically don't get any effect. So usually you use Wise, Raiden, and Felice as the tuner, and the other level 4 could be Baby Dragon, Wolf, and it actually dumps different types. So you can dump a Wolf, which is a Beast Warrior, and a Wise, which is a Fiend, which then reborns another monster. Usually when you go into this, you end up with 2 other level 4 lights, which brings us to Visa's Amritara. This one you can even make with 2 tuners. So if you have Wise and Felice, 2 level 4 tuners, since this only requires 1 tuner and 1 other light monster, it doesn't say non-tuner, you can make this with 2 tuners. And this makes Perlereno, Scream, and Suliak searchable. So if you already don't have your field spell, search it. If you already have your field spell, search Suliak. If you need Scream, then search Scream.
Insane.
And I've seen people overlay them for Vampire Dragon, or no, Zombie Vampire?
Zombie Vampire.
Zombie Vampire, but I don't have room. I don't have room. Okay, for our Link monsters, we have the basic package. Sometimes when you summon so much, you run out of room, so you can go IP to free up your main monster zones and save SP for next turn, or you can just go into Appaloosa if you're scared of like potential nibs or bestials. So Appaloosa definitely, it's super easy to get 4 monsters on the board. And our fusion monsters are excellent targets, especially for Super Poly. Winda. I might cut this one. I haven't gone into this in like many games. So if I still don't go into this card like during tonight, I haven't gone on it tonight, I might cut it for like some maybe Zombie Vampire, or I actually had to cut Redoer. So that we're gonna put it right here so we can decide if we wanna keep him. In grind game, definitely, but most of the time you have other fusions. Definitely Dangerous, Colossus, because he's free and it's so easy to get it with Nemesis, the Thunder one, Corridor, and obviously Bay, Kaleido Heart. And that is 15.
Insane. So Raymond, I know for this deck, do you have any changes you'd make to the main deck or any other supplement engines for people who are thinking about playing this?
I usually am a believer of 40 cards only, but for this deck that is impossible. So 43 is kind of my personal limit. If people want to not do the Nemesis package, then I think it's cute. It's an easy side out if you don't need it. That will put you at 40. Maybe cut Judgment Dragon. In my online build, I cut Judgment Dragon, and then sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't. So those 2 are definitely at the forefront of my mind, changing. And sometimes I want a 3rd Wolf because it's just so good. You get a free body each time, and it's not once per turn. But as far as the other main deck monsters, I think they're all needed. Fenrir is still really good. Sometimes when you mill it, you're like, oh, what a wasted mill. But sometimes when you open it, you're just like, wow, I got a Fenrir and a free search. So Fenrir might be 3rd on the list of things to change. But pretty much I will not be changing a lot of this. I'm gonna keep testing this build and then see what happens. I'm playing this Saturday at a case tournament, so that will be a great indicator of what things to change and what extra deck monsters to change.
Insane. I know we're excited to see some of the feature matches of you coming up as well. Do you have any final shout outs you want to give?
What was it?
Any shout outs?
A shout out to Ryan Anderson, who plays Horus Stun for his French, or his German, or his German Urteilsdrache, which he gave to me. I tried to throw money at him, but he was like, no. And shout out to the man behind the camera for exposing our little locals to the world. And shout out to everyone who is in locals who keep our locals alive.
Awesome. We appreciate it, Raymond. Thank you.
Okay, bye.